All right, so I'm gonna go over shortened axles with everyone today. Drawings are super rough, but I'll explain everything as we go. So this would be your stock, this is your engine transmission, this is your spindles, your tires. So when your car's stock, your axles point down like this. This is lowered, same thing, but your axles point up. But whether they're pointed down or pointed up, they're still, we're just gonna say 60 is the measurement in between like the length of the axle. We're just gonna say it's 60. So whether it's stock or lowered, that axle angle hasn't changed. Now, when you do a motor raise kit, your axles straighten out. But what the issue with that is that the distance between the trans or your half shaft, either one, whatever you have, either your trans or half shaft, your axle length in here, the distance between your spindle and your half shaft or trans is the same distance here and here. When you do this, it's not the same distance because you just raised everything up. So it makes it shorter. So we'll just say it's 58 inches. Now your factory axles are made so that, I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but these can compress in and out. These have little rollers inside of them, little ball bearings. So it has a little bit of room, basically from like here to here. It's got like little sliders where it can roll inside of there. So you have that much give. That's why your axles don't bind, you know, when you get when you hit bumps and stuff like that. The issue with this, when you do the motor raise, is that it pushes this all the way back and there's no pivoting. It's not allowing everything to pivot, which, you know, most guys that are low enough to need a motor raise are running a bunch of camber. So your axle angle already is going to be kind of crazy like this or something. And if this is shoved all the way up in here, the vibration that you're getting is the little ball bearings that are in here hitting the outside of the axle back here. So you're maxing your axles out. So what you have to do is you have to shorten your axles. And this is, I'm going to show you guys how I shorten axles. I'm sure there's other ways to do it. The way I've been doing them seems to be working pretty well. So everyone that's going to hate on it is just going to have to hate on it because I think it works pretty good. So hopefully that was enough explanation. If it wasn't enough, just follow me on Instagram and send me a message at Pop's Garage. Guess we don't need that. But yeah, so if you have any more questions, feel free to message me on Instagram, Pop's Garage, and I will get you taken care of. And I can further explain this more. I think that was the basics. I mean, not much more you need to know that when you do a motor raise, this is going to happen no matter what kind of. I've noticed it happens more on EKs than anything else. The motor in my wagon is raised and I haven't had issues with it yet. I do have to notch the frame. The driver's side axle is hitting the frame. So I do have to do that. Maybe they'll bind after that. I don't know. When I had a B series in it, they definitely binded. That's when I first started experimenting with this stuff. So mainly if you have an EG that's a single cam, it's going to happen. If you have a super low B series car, probably could happen. I think this started binding when it was B series before I even raised the motor, if I remember right. So B series guys, you kind of got to watch out for it. If you have a single cam, don't really worry about it until you do a motor raise. When you do a motor raise, then you start worrying about it. But like I said, EKs, I haven't had an issue yet. EFs, I haven't had an issue yet. Only EGs. Okay, so I started off by taping where I thought the center of the axle was, because we're going to have to mark it to measure it. And I'm going to measure from this line to this line and find the center. If you don't have that, just measure in between your axles. You want to try to keep everything in the center, but like I said, all this stuff can move. So like, see how it moves? It goes in and out. So you kind of just want to guesstimate center. Normally center should be fine. Your suspension forks are going to be sitting like right here, so you don't want to do there. And then you just want to, axles and drive shafts and stuff like that are meant to be like weighted pretty good. So I try to do everything right in the middle, and then we'll work from there. On center, and I mark center. I know I'm cutting an inch out of these, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. So I found center, measured over 1/2 inch, center 1/2 inch. So that should give me my full inch. I always measure off of a number. So, yep, that's right there. It would be 1 inch. So we're gonna go ahead and chop that now. Okay, so now we have everything cut. Here's a little 1 inch piece that came out the middle, boom, boom. And if you watched my how to make spindles, drop spindles video, this is gonna be the same type of deal. We're gonna taper this guy back and we're gonna taper this guy back. So let's do that now. Okay, now we have these beveled, and now we need to make a jig so that we can make sure everything's straight. The first pair I ever did, I just eyeballed, and they weren't bad. Like, I was expecting a lot worse. They were pretty good. They didn't really shake the steering wheel at all. And then after that, I started trying to like build jigs and stuff like that. I'll show you guys how I build a jig. So how I build my jigs is pretty primitive, but it works on like the V8 guys. They do the same thing when they shorten their axle tubes and stuff like that when they tub their race cars. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have this guy right here, and I'm gonna cut it maybe a little bit back here. Just eyeball a decent distance. You don't want it too short, but you don't want it too long because you have to fit your. There's gonna be another little piece that we're gonna make. So I'm probably gonna make it about this long. Right here, I'm gonna cut it, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the axle down in there and clamp the axle down like this on the corners and the corners. That way it's straight. It holds it stuck into the corner, and that way I know that they should be lined up. So this is basically how this little jig is gonna work. We're basically just clamping it into a corner. If I wasn't poor, I'd have another set of these, and I would clamp them in also. But I'm just gonna hold them in. It should be good enough. It's not going anywhere if I hold it in, and then I'll just tack weld right in there. And then we'll rotate it and tack weld again and then weld it. But first, before we do this, if you've made it this far into this video, thank you. Before we do this, we have to do one more thing. So there's a 0% chance I'm going to trust just that holding. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna disperse the pressure. We're gonna build a sleeve. So I'm just gonna take a rough guess here. I'm gonna want the sleeve to be, we'll say about 4 inches, maybe 3 inches. Yeah, we'll do like 3 inches. And that way the crack will be at 1.5 inches. So it'll be welded there, and this will get welded outside. So for it to break, it's gonna have to break these welds and the other one. So instead of having one weld to break, it now has 3 welds to break. It's probably not going to do that unless you're trying to like drag race or something like that. But most of you stance guys are not trying to do anything that crazy. So we're going to go ahead and lop a 3-inch piece off of this. Okay, now we got this little piece built. We're going to throw it on the axle. Boom. Shove it all the way down. We're going to mate that up. I'm going to hold it locked in place, and then I'm going to lay some welds on it. And then we can start welding all the way around it. So basically we have it welded all the way around to start off. Our spacer things out of the way, everything's straight because we have it in our jig. It's all tight. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start adding filler into all this until it's filled up. Then we're gonna slide our sleeve over and we're gonna weld around that. And there it is, easy peasy, all welded. We got it welded in the middle, welded on the outsides. It has to break all 3 of those to break. Well, I guess 2 of them really to break the axle. But as long as you're not acting like an idiot, it'll be fine. And as you can see, I mean, doesn't get much straighter, and if it's a little bit out of whack, it has wiggle room, so it'll be fine. So I do them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.